Hello all, welcome back. So in this one we're going to take a look at couple of more annotations. So let me just bring up the Eclipse is there. So right click on the package, go to new, and we will create a new TestNG class, and I'll show you these things in this lecture. So there are these annotations, right? Before method, before class, after class, before suite, after suite. And there's one called before test, after test also. We don't use these too much. So that's why we're going to focus on these six. In this lecture, we'll take a look at before method, before class, after class. And we will take a look at before suite, after suite later. And there's one called data provider, which we'll have a separate lecture for. So right now I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to select this one and this one from here. And I'll show you that TestNG creates the template for us if we select this. And I'm not selecting these because I want to type them and show you that it's not necessary to select from here. We can actually go ahead and type them all. So click finish. And it created the class as new test because we did not change the name. And what we can do here is we can select this, right click, and find refactor somewhere here, rename. And I'm gonna say as TestNG, and maybe I'm gonna say before class annotations. So just a meaningful name, and it's gonna change the file name also here. It takes care of it. And now you can see that it created a test method with test annotation. Then it created a before method and after method. And it added annotations here. And then you can see it imported the packages also on its own. Now we can select the code and do Command Shift F or Control Shift F, and it looks better aligned. Then what I want to tell you here is this before method name. This is not important. You can name it anything. The important part is this annotation. So the name could be anything. Whatever method has this annotation will be in effect. And what this means is, let's say we have multiple test methods. So let me just change the name, test method 1. And let me copy this one more time, test method 2. And now we have two test methods. Let me put it on the top, before method and after method. So it's just easy to see what's happening before and after. And at the bottom, we can take a look at what are the tests doing. So let's just print out that the test is running, and maybe I can just copy it from one of the previous tests, this print line. So let's put it here, running test, and this is test method 1, and this is running test. This is test method 2. So let's assume a scenario where we have some common steps that we wanted to execute before every test method starts. And then there are some common steps that we wanted to execute after every method ends. So we don't want to put those repetitive steps here in every test method, right? Instead of that, what we can do here is we can put those steps in before method and after method. So if we put any step here, that will be executed before any test method is executed. So I am going to put this thing here and modify this maybe. So we will say this runs before every method, and we'll copy the same thing from here, and this runs after every method, right? Same thing, exactly same. So before method, it will run once before every method, and after method, this method, this will run once after every method. So let me save this file and run it, and I'll show you the output. So you can see here, this runs before every method, then it runs the test method 1, then the after method was executed. This runs after every method, then again before method is executed, this runs before every method because it has to run test method 2. Then it ran test method 2, then it again ran after method and prints the line this runs after every method. Both the tests are successful because we are just printing out some values. So that is the use of before method and after method. It's very handy, very useful. If we want to run something common before and after every method, every single method we can do that. Now we will take a look at something called before class and after class. So I'm just gonna type public void, and maybe we can name it as setup, and we can just name it anything, and then here this guy. And let me just copy this thing and I'll paste it again. And instead of setup, I can type in here cleanup. So why I'm doing this is because in setup, I will say @before and hit control space. It'll give me all the options. I'll select before class from org.testng.annotations. Please do not confuse these with JUnit. I'm saying it again and again because I've seen a lot of errors around this thing. In this one, we can just simply type something. So this runs once before all methods. So it not all, basically this is going to be confusing. Before, I can just simply say before class. And we can just copy this from here, paste this guy here, and here we need to use the annotation called after control space and after class. So this is how we can create these methods by typing also. We don't have to necessarily select from there. So we can say here this runs after class. Now let's execute this class and we will see the output in just a second. So what does it show now? It says this runs once before class, and then the before method executed, then the test method executed, then after method executed, then again the before method executed, then the test method, then after method, and then finally the cleanup after class. So you notice that the difference is the before method is executed once before every method, after method is executed once after every method, but before class is executed once at the beginning, then it'll run all the test methods. And then after class, this is executed once after all the methods are executed. So this is before class and before method and after method. They are really very handy, very useful. So please go ahead, practice around it, just create your classes. You can also use this code, and I'll see you in the next lectures. Thanks for running this one. Thanks a lot.